Hello, Void Dwellers. One of the things you keep hearing about social media is that it creates echo chambers. And what people mean by that is that users tend to be drawn into groups that just echo the same opinions and perceptions they already hold. And why is that a bad thing? Because there's nothing to challenge you and you won't doubt yourself. And you, being human, there's very little chances that you're always right. It's healthy to not just constantly reinforce your beliefs, but to re-examine them again and again. In short, the human creature benefits from thinking, but thinking is hard, and so our lazy brains prefer not to do that. However, not thinking rots your brain. It's the same thing with everything else, right? It's like exercise. Exercise is good for you. Lack of it is killing you. And yet, many people, including the one talking to the void right now, do not exercise as much as we should. Or, at all. But here's the thing. While we blame social media for making easy echo chambers that facilitate mental laziness, and there's definitely truth to that, social media did not invent it. It was first and foremost invented by the traditional media and by the entertainment industry. And one of the most killer examples of entertainment that is specifically designed to feed what you already believe and not make you think is The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. I saw this video from them on YouTube with the title Jon Stewart on Israel, Lebanon, the widening Mid-East war. Clicking on it, I thought, oh good, we're going to learn some new things and get new angles on the situation. No, I'm joking, I actually thought this is going to be so fucking stupid. And Jon did not disappoint. And by the way, before going further, if you happen to be new to this channel and you might think, oh, this is just another right-winger shitting on Jon Stewart, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I'm on the left. And I used to adore Jon Stewart. I still find him funny. I mean, his delivery is excellent. I think we can all agree on that. I just think that he has always been a reflection of what the majority of the left looked like in real time. Now, in the 90s, when I was a teenager, he was sharp and smart and made points that actually argued with the points the mainstream media was making. Or at least that's what we thought. To be honest, we were kids and, all kids are dumb and our knowledge was limited. But I do feel that The Daily Show was much more of a traditional satire in the sense of aiming to kick people out of their comfort zone to make them think. Now, however, as the left has been taken over by loudmouth radical militant-like morons who cannot send an electron between two neurons to form a thought to save their lives, Jon has regressed with them. Maybe you guys don't remember that, but a couple of years ago, Jon appeared on Colbert and pushed the idea, the very right-wing and not based on anything idea, that COVID was manufactured in a lab. And this made a lot of us old-style leftists scratching our heads and thinking, is Jon having a seizure? This has no reliable evidence. No one responsible would say that. In fact, there are several studies that claim to the contrary. In fact, another one was just recently reported on in such publications as Nature, showing that analyzing the data, actually using the brain to think about the real evidence, paints the picture that it has started in the market rather than in the lab. But for Jon, thinking, analyzing, these are all so far from him, like reasoning is from a Trump supporter. To a point that I honestly think there are only two possible explanations to his decline. Dementia, or the exact opposite of it, and he is in fact doing some Colbert-level parody and just pretending to be an insane, old, money-grabbing, audience-pleasing, trend-following, far-left extremist. But why don't we dive into the video and see what I mean? He starts the video by illustrating how insane the Middle East is by showing an explanation to the situation with Hezbollah given by an Israeli representative.
I give you the golden soundbite brought down from Sinai to explain how fucking convoluted this has to be.
What the Israeli government is saying And the Biden administration is in many ways subscribed to this idea, is de-escalation through escalation.
You know how sometimes when you tell kids something that they don't understand because the subject is too mature and they just don't have the reference point to get it, so they just laugh aimlessly? Kind of a laughter of confusion and embarrassment. Yeah, that's what that sounded like to me. Well, little John, come closer, and allow me to explain to you what the strange and confusing man meant by that. You know what the dumbest thing is about Hollywood-made monsters? They always roar and bare their teeth before attacking. But in real life, if a predator wants to attack, they approach their prey quietly. When an animal growls, barks, bare their teeth, it is actually trying to avoid conflict. It signals to the other side, back off, you don't want this kind of trouble. You see, little John, humans are animals. We work in the same way. Sometimes the way to make an enemy who is set on destroying you back off is to bare your teeth and show what you can do to them if they don't. It's not hard to understand if you use that grain melon on your neck. But I'm sure I'm overreacting and you understood that, right? And you explained it immediately to your audience, right?
Do you even hear yourself? My God, the de-escalation through escalation? That phrase is, where have I heard? It's right out of, hold on a second, let me see if I can find, hold on, no, it's not in there. Hold on, let me see if I can find, no, it's not in there. Let me see if I can find.
Too hopeful. Garfield, your response to something you don't understand was to bring up Garfield? You see what I mean? It's either dementia or a parody so deep that we just don't get it. I mean, I want to believe that the joke is actually on the numbskulls who laughed at him bringing out Garfield, but I don't think John is sophisticated enough to go into such depth. By the way, as we go through this video, you might notice a theme. The escalation is very one-sided. You won't hear about the terror organization Hezbollah firing at Israeli civilians from Lebanon for 11 months, murdering dozens of them, children included, with no retaliation from Israel. No, you won't hear about that. You won't hear about how they have been escalating the situation for years, for decades, by coming closer and closer to the border, setting up bases there, which is a violation of both a UN resolution and of a ceasefire agreement. And still, Israel did not retaliate or indeed responded in any way. No, you won't hear about that. What you will hear is this weird dementia-fueled complaint that the Americans don't control what is being done with the weapons they sell.
The country that's providing all the bombs seems to have no idea when these bombs are going to be used.
We were not notified by the Israelis about their strike or the intended target of their strike.
First, this is something we were not aware of or involved in. The United States did not know about, nor was it involved in these incidents.
Oh, they're not telling you anything, huh?
This is part of the far-left dementia that believes either that Israel controls the US or that the US should be controlling Israel. It's like they lack any notion of what a sovereign country is. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you guys offered Israel to become a state, which means we have US Army and Marines facing Hezbollah and the Palestinians rather than IDF soldiers, I'd be supportive of that. Sure, you guys can handle it. I mean, I would have a problem with not have, healthcare or decent worker rights, but at least our kids don't get killed and then blamed for committing imaginary genocides, right? Now it will be your problem. But John behaves like just because America sells weapons to Israel, it should be the one deciding how Israel uses those weapons. And apparently putting them in pages used by terrorists, that's a no-no. And that's just not how anything works. I don't sell you socks and then say, but you only use them in November when wearing boots and never with sandals. Once I sold them to you, it's yours. You do whatever you want with them. I mean, Jon, you're an American and a rich one who made his money off the suffering of others. Do you really need me to explain to you how capitalism works? Now, if you said the US shouldn't be an arm dealer, well, that would have been an intelligent argument. But I have long ago stopped expecting intelligence from Jon Stewart. And by the way, if you hear an American politician say that they did not know about any military move done by Israel, and you actually believe them, Jesus Christ, all I can say is...
Right.
It is dementia, isn't it? Then Jon says the next thing.
I mean, my God, there have to be other ways of achieving de-escalation without all this respectful exchange of missiles. Historically, that part is generally followed by years of sorrow and bloodshed. And we know there have been opportunities for de-escalation.
To which I would say, citation needed. On the other hand, I have a few examples to the contrary. Have you heard of Syria? Well, you might be surprised to discover it has a border with Israel, and it hasn't been a fan of us since the founding in 1948. In fact, it participated in multiple attacks on the country. That is, until 1973, when the Yom Kippur attack ended up with a huge crushing defeat for the Syrians. And you know what happened, Jon? From that day on, there was quiet on the border. No peace accord, just a ceasefire. Until the civil war, of course, when injured people came seeking help, and when Israel provided them with help, we were accused of taking sides in their war, even though anyone who would ask for medical help received it, regardless of who they are, and we even started a field hospital on the border for the benefit of Syrians, and most of the media completely ignore that, as well as all the charity work and volunteering that Israel does across the board, because, you know, fairness is fun, isn't it? But I digress. The point is, Jon, there's historical evidence that when peace is not possible, making your enemy afraid of the repercussions of war works just as well. You want a closer example? Hezbollah themselves didn't dare fire one missile at Israel after what happened to them during the 2006 conflict. We had 20 years of silence because of escalation. But these are just facts, and I know how much you hate those, Jon. I know. Oh, and then Jon goes on to the most cringy and stupid point. This video is already too long, so let me just get to the point and tell you about it instead of keep showing you. You can find it yourselves. Jon criticizes Netanyahu and then makes fun of an imaginary claim that all those who criticize Netanyahu are anti-Semites. And to show how ridiculous this imaginary claim is, he gives a bunch of ex-prime ministers and ministers who criticize Netanyahu. That is so pathetic. First of all, if you ever watched this channel, you know that there are few around who hate Netanyahu quite as much as I hate him. Criticizing him is not just not anti-Semitic, it's actually a Zionist thing to do. But nobody ever claimed that criticizing Netanyahu is anti-Semitic. The claim, Jon, and pay attention. I know it's difficult at your age, but pay attention. The claim is that blaming everything on Israel and making Israel the bad guy, no matter what Israel does or what is done to it, that is anti-Semitic. The fact that Israel is going out of its way to protect the civilian population, giving warnings, dropping flyers, even hacking into radio broadcasts, like no other nation, definitely not like the US, who like to bomb people randomly in Afghanistan and Iraq, and add to that they are fighting people documented by the UN and by other governments of using their own people, their own children as human shields, and still Israel is the bad guy. That is anti-Semitism. The fact that Hezbollah has fired unprovoked on civilians for 11 months, murdering dozens, including children, and displacing 90,000 people, and you said nothing until the retaliation, and even then you only mentioned the Israeli actions, that is anti-Semitism. Anti-Semites, whether it's Gentiles or self-hating Jews, have come up with these sophisticated, unbreakable codes that fool us all. Ways of justifying and hiding their anti-Semitism. Oh, they don't hate Jews, they just hate Zionists. That is so fucking dumb. You don't hate Jews, you just hate Jews who believe they have the human right for self-determination and dare to stand up for themselves when attacked instead of just dying like proper Jews should do. What the fuck? Yeah, you're totally not anti-Semitic. And there's what Jon is doing. We are not criticizing Jews, we are not criticizing Israel, we are criticizing Netanyahu. You're not fooling anyone. I criticize Netanyahu. You, on the other hand, you are just using his name and his dumb face to attack me. Me, my family, and my friends, and my people. And you're doing it to make money. To maintain the applause of your dim-witted audience. To shield them from the burden of thinking instead of making them embrace the benefits of it. To maintain the original echo chamber. And that's all you are now, Jon. A jailer of minds. I bet your mama is proud. By the way, Void Dwellers, you might realize that the comment section for this video is disabled. And that would be what I'm going to do going forwards. But I'll give you a secret that only the people who reach this far into the video would know. And that is that every time I publish a video, I'm going to put a post about it in the community tab, and there you'll be able to comment. And that should kind of keep most of the trolls and idiots out of it, because most of them don't get this far into the video, so they won't know about it. Now that it solves the problem of the YouTube comment section being completely useless and broken and removing comments left and right with no fucking logic, I'm looking for an alternative for that as well, and when I have more to share I will. But for now, we can at least try to comment in silence and peace. So, until next time, Void Dwellers.